Pahlavi texts translated by E.W. West, Part 2, the Dadastani Unique, and the Epistles of Anaskihar, Clarendon, Oxford University Press, 1882. We are in the endnotes for the legends relating to Kerasas. And the terrible state of the soul of Kerasas, written Kerasaspo or Gerasaspo throughout the Pahlavi text of this paragraph that we are in, which is the third paragraph of the appendix. For the exploits when the serpent, Gaz, Strobar, was slain by him, the Srabara of Yasna 9:34, and Zamyad Yast, verse 40. When Gandarep, the Gandarewa of Abanyast, verse 38, and Ramyast, verse 28, and Zamyad Yast, verse 41. When the Hunus of Vesco, reading Hunu Vesco, but it is possible to read Kuno Dako, blood producing, which is fully applicable to these highway robbers. The Hunus in Vaeska are mentioned in the Abanyast, verse 54 and 57, as opponents of the warrior Tusa, but the Hunus in Zamyad Yast 41 have no country assigned to them, who are descendants of Nivik and Dastanik, the Nivika and Dastayane of Zamyad Yast 41. When the mighty wind Vado, though an angel when moderate and useful, is supposed to become a demon in a gale or hurricane, and is mentioned as such in Vendidad 10:24. Now, whether or not it's a fallen or unfallen angel has nothing to do with whether it's beneficial or not, or an angel or demon, nothing to do with whether it's beneficial or not in that sense. Owing to confinement in the volcano, Mount Demavan, see Bundahis, 1231, 29:9, Bachmanyast, chapter 3, verses 55 to 6r, 60s, it doesn't have the second number, or is it 55 to 56r? This exploit is expected to be performed hereafter, and to the ever-stationary existence, the Hanistiko Ahvano, intermediate between heaven and hell, see Dadastani Unique, chapter 20, verse 3. Perfect is the excellence of righteousness. The Pahlavi equivalent of the Avestan Ashambhu, here translated, follows each summary of the contents of the Fargard or Nast in the Dean card, in the same way as the Ashambhu follows each Fargard of the Vendidad and each section of the Gathas in the Vendidad Siddha or liturgy. And a Persian paraphrase of this Pahlavi version is also to be found in the Persian Rivayats. I'm not reading everything, I'm just reading right before it says to refer to a note. In B29, folios 167 to 169, where it is quoted from a work called the Zad Darbande Kush, in the Pahlavi Rivayat, perceiving that it is studied unique in some manuscripts. In BK and J, but in K35, this portion of the Rivayat has been lost with the first 71 folios of that manuscript. It also appears to have been similarly lost from the older manuscripts belonging to Mr. Tehmeras, Dinshauja, and Klesaria, of whose soul is that the actions. J omits the word. And the soul of Kerasasp saw. J omits seeing. Zarathustra. I have been a priest of Kabul, one of the three most sacred fires. I think two of the longest going ones are in Afghanistan. The Frobak fire, it is said to have been removed by Vistasp from Kavarizm to Kabulistan, see Bundahis, 17:6. The Persian version has Would to God, Kaskeh, I were a priest, and alters the rest of the sentence to correspond. The world which should have feared my splendor. Reading Ra-e-le. J has 100 var, 100 lakes, or ordeals are results. Because the fire which is my sun, fire which is often called the son of Ahura Mazda in the Avesta, but, people generally didn't take it literally, as in Yasna, chapter 2, verse 18, Vendadad, chapter 5, verse 9, and more such examples. The serpent, Azo, Srovbar, the Srovbara of Yasna 9:34, Zamyad Yast 40. The Persian version has merely Azdaha, a dragon. And its horn was as much as Dahak in height, or it may be Shak, a bow. A Persian version has 80 cubits. And it was slain outright by me. The Persian version adds, and as I looked into its mouth, men were still hanging about its teeth, which was evidently suggested by what was stated on account of the next exploit. For by me, Gundharep, see previous note, 371, note 3, okay, Zarathustra is said to have been begotten in consequence of his parents drinking home juice and cow's milk infused, respectively, with his guardian spirit and glory. See Zadsparam 11:10. K35 has Haman, and 14 has Haman instead of home in this clause. And dead men. The Persian version says horses and donkeys. Well, it's a lot more palatable than dead men on your teeth, right? But what you need to do to survive, right? And I dragged him out of the sea. For this clause, the Persian version substitutes the sea was up to his knee and his head up to the sun. The sea was up to his knee and his head up to the sun. That kind of sounds like some of the Soma hymns in a way, right? jack-o'-lantern mushroom. Akrutrag. This is merely a guess. The word can also be read Karvavrag, thorny, or a thorny brake, but it seems to have been the name of some person, being followed by the word dosto, friend, in the next sentence. Akrura, son of Haosravang, is mentioned in the Fravardiniast 137. Next, after Sama, Kerasaspa, as withstanding, Hashadava, or Da'eva, the wicked and covetous one, destroying the world. The Persian version omits from the dragging out of the sea in the sentence to the slaying in the next. My wife was carried off by him. BK has by me, which must be a blunder. My foot as it sprang forward. J omits these last 7 words. And Gandharep was taken and slain by me. The Persian version says, I slew him, and as he fell down, many villages and places became desolate. For I have slain the highwaymen, the 9 highwaymen of Zamyadyast, 41. The Persian version says 7. BK has walked instead of slain. The hills of the earth were shattered by them. Instead of this sentence, the Persian version has, through fear of them, people could not go on any journey, and every one whom they might see on the road that he went, they would instantly eat up. And in 3 years they reckoned 300,000 men they had slain and destroyed, and I fought with them and slew all the 7. And if those fallen highwaymen, J omits the word fallen, and should I appoint a keeper of the earth and sky, they would not forsake me. The Persian version has, and as it arrived near me, and it was not able to bear my foot from the spot, and I seized the spear of the wind and overthrew him with my own strength until he made a promise thus, I will go again below the earth, and I did not keep back my hand from that work, less than Auharmazd and the archangels ordered me. When Dahak has escaped his confinement, see Bahmaniast, chapter 3, verse 55 to 61. The Persian version substitutes a legend about the gigantic bird Kamak, also mentioned in Medokma 2750, which overshadowed the earth and kept off the rain till the rivers dried up. It also ate up men and animals as if they were grains of corn. Well, we think of corn as like corn, so kernels of something. Until Kerasasp killed it by shooting it with arrows continuously for 7 days and nights. And eaten up by bugs here. And within its sole existence, Tang Ae, that is, when there is only light and no darkness, you shall sit and move. J has, I will sit and move along within it, and the Persian version has, I will sit alone in that place. And Zarathustra the Spitaman wept aloud. The Persian version does not mention the angels and the weeping. I would be the deceiver in thy eyes. This can also be translated thus, though thou shouldest be no deceiver, thou wouldst be a deceiver in my eyes. The words Homanaya would be an homun s thou wouldst be, being written alike. In the world, the Persian version of the speech is, O good Creator, I know that hatred and anger are not in thy path, and when anyone indulges in hatred of another, there is no acquiescence of thine therein. Yet now I see this matter as though some one maintain hatred against another. The angel of fire. The Persian version says the archangel Ardi Bahist, who is the protector of fire. See Shayast, chapter 15, verses 5, 12, and 13. Stood upon his feet. The Persian version proceeds and concludes the sentence as follows. And Karasasp groaned unto Zarathustra Spitaman, and Ardibahist, the archangel said, O Zarathustra, thou dost not know what Karasasp has done unto me, that in the world formerly my custom and habit would have been so, that as they would place firewood under a cauldron, I would send the fire until that cauldron should be boiled, and their work should be completed, and then it would have come back to its own place. As that serpent that he speaks of was slain, he became hungry, and because the fire fell 1 moment later upon the firewood which he had placed below the cauldron, he smote the fire with a club and scattered the fire, and now I will not pass the soul of Karasasp to heaven. And the angel Gos Urvan, the Avestan, Kios Urva, the soul of the ox, that is, of the primeval ox, from which all the lower animals are supposed to have been developed. This angel, who is usually called Gos, is said to be a female and is the protectress of cattle. See Bundahis, chapter 4, verses 2 to 5. In this capacity, she is supposed to be friendly to Karasasp, whose exploits had chiefly consisted in slaying the destroyers of animal life. Having thus spoken many words, desisted. The Persian version omits these words, and the preceding paragraph, proceeding in continuation of note 5 on page 379. Oh, that's 5 is 1, 2. That is till she's married. Okay. And as Ardibahist, the archangel, spoke these words, the soul of Karasasp wept and said, Ardibahist, the archangel speaks truly. I committed sin, and I repent. And he touched the skirt of Zarathustra with his hand, and said, Of mankind no one has obtained the eminence, rank, and dignity that thou obtainest. Now through this grandeur and glory which is thine, do thou entreat and make intercession of Ardibahist, the archangel, for me, so that it may be that I obtain liberation from this distress and torment. And I shall speak to Vistasp. See the data standard unique 37, verse 36. And Gamasp, see data standard unique, chapter 44, R6. And you shall forgive him. J omits the following words as far as the next thus. Okay, Zarathustra inquired of Ahura Mazda thus, referring to the revival of Karasasp from his trance in order to destroy Dahak, which is expected to take place before the general resurrection. See Bundahis 29:8, Bahmanyast 3:59-61. When Ahura Mazda spoke thus, in B29, that's what I talked about last. Ramazza spoke thus, J amidst the following words as far as the next thus. Okay. His who is Karasasp, in Bay 29, folios 169 to 171. It is quoted from the book of Bahiram Firuz, which consisted of 173 couplets, written Pahino or Pasino in the Pahlavi text. The wolf, Kapod, which they also call Pehan. See page 378, note 1. They repeated a lot of notes. This does not imply that a man might have more wives than one, but that wives are 5 classes according to the circumstances of the marriage. Padaksha, or privileged wife, is one who was a maiden married with the consent of her parents, who have another child. A Yukon, or only child wife, differs from the last merely by being an only child, and having therefore to give up her first child to her parents. A Satar, or adopted wife, is one who is a maiden, enabled to marry by receiving a dowry from the relatives of a man who has died unmarried, on condition that half of her children shall belong to the deceased. Our Kakar, our serving wife, who is a widow, who marries again. A Kud Sara'e, our self-disposing wife, when who marries without her parents' consent. See Bundahis 32:6. And a wolf. The bird Kamak are seducing, desolating, and the bewildering demon are seducing or desolating demon. And we start in with the Niranga Kusti notes. The actions and the ritual detailed below. For most of the details which follows, I'm indebted to Dastur, Jamaspje, Mino Cheharje, Jamasp Asana. Even when the sun is northerly, as it is in Bombay for about 2 months in the summer, is it 23 degrees north? Anything below that? I remember, don't remember exactly what it is. Or if you're in the tropics, there's the both northerly and southerly direction of the sun. The crops, these 2 Pahlavi names are merely transliterations of the Avestan, Kaveh, and Karapan. So Keeks and crops. The names of certain classes of evildoers, traceable back to the earliest times and probably to the Vedic Kaveh and Kalpa, which would naturally be used in a bad sense in the Avesta. See Haug's Essays, page 289. The Pahlavi translators of the Yasna explain these names by the words Kur, blind, and Kar, death, which are merely guesses. Are they guesses? And do thou pardon this one? The Pazan word is ukhe or aokhe, which the Gugarate Khurda Avesta translates by Khuda Ta'ala, Most High God. Pardon this one. Oh, do thou, the Most High God. Okay, is that what they're saying? I am penitent in renunciation through these 3 words. But the 3 words, that is in thought, word, and deed, so far as the phrases are recited in Pazand, but the following recitations are in the Avesta language. And so, going to the note before, it seems more probable a misreading of the Pahlavi Hana'e, this one, and the phrases are a portion of the Petit, or renunciation of sin. And is righteousness to perfect rectitude? This last sentence is the Ashem Vohu formula, see Bundahis, chapter 20, verse 2, has given as a protector for the poor, that is the Ahunavar, or Yatha Ahu Vairio formula, see Bundahis 121, Zadsparam 1, 12-19. And there's a lot of this sound here going on. Come for my protection, O Mazda. What follows is from Yasna 13, 25-29, and is the conclusion of the Mazda Worshipper's Creed. Expelling controversy. The meaning of the original term, fraspa ya o kadram, is rather uncertain, and the Pahlavi version is not easy to understand clearly. It translates this sentence as far as the next epithet as follows: I praise the good religion of the Mazda worshippers, from which the disunion cast forth and the assault put down are manifest. This is manifest from it, that it is not desirable to go to others without controversy, and with that which arises without controversy, it is quite requisite to occasion controversy. And the righteous union of kinsfolk. This is one of the earliest references to Hava et Vadatha, or marriage among next of kin, the passage written in the latter Gatha dialect. And we go into the meaning of Kvet Tuk Das, or Kvet Tudad, which is discreditable to Europeans to quote. Well, see Dastur Peshotanja's translation of the Deen card, D96 note. And we, by the way, will be going into note 1487. And, okay, where's note 1487? The term Kvet Tuk Das, occasionally written Kvet Tuk Dat, as in Pahlavi Vendadad 836. And the earliest occurrence of the complete word is probably in Yasna 1328. See page 387, note 3. And that would be M14 has, which comes forward owing to sickness. Pahlavi Vistasp Yast 17. The age of this Pahlavi version of the Vistasp Yast is doubtful, and it is even possible that it may have been composed in India. The only manuscript of it that I have seen belongs to Dastur Jamaspje Mino Cheharje, who kindly gave me a copy of it, but it seems doubtful about the age of the translation. He was aware that his manuscript was written some 40 years ago, but he did not know from what manuscript it was copied. This version, however, is mentioned in the list of Pahlavi works given in the introduction to Dastur Peshotanja's Pahlavi grammar, page 18 and 31, so that another manuscript of the Pahlavi text probably exists in the library of the High Priest of the Parsis in Bombay. And Pahlavi Vendadad 836 speaks of the two who are a Kvet Tuk Dat, man and woman, or perhaps man and wife, as Gambra, man, is occasionally used for husband, though Shui is the usual word, and Nasman means both woman and wife. Thus I proclaim in the world that which he who is Uharmazd made his own best Kvet Tuk Das. Oh, that looks like a word that was added later to it, huh? Written Kvet Vadas or Kvetudas in the very old manuscript of Dastur Jamaspje Jeharje, the text of which is followed in this translation. The phrases in brackets have no equivalence in the original Avesta text, and therefore merely represents the opinions of the Pahlavi translators. Who created this one? Spendermod, apparently, as indicated by the sequel. And through fatherhood, Bohuman, the Pahlavi translator seems here to understand Bohuman not as the archangel, see that extended unique 3:3, but as a title, good-minded, of the primeval man, Gayomard, who is supposed to have been produced by Ouharmazd out of the earth. Compare Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, represented by the female archangel Spendermod. The term Bohumano is used in Vendidad 19, verse 69, verses 76 to 84, for both a well-intentioned man and his clothing. And who is the fully minded Spendermod? The female archangel, a personification of the Avesta phrase, Spenta Armaete, bountiful devotion. She has special charge of the earth and virtuous women. See Bundahis, chapter 1, verse 26, Shayas to Shayas, 15, 20 to 24. She's called the daughter of Ouharmazd, even as the fire and Bohuman are called his sons, because devotion, representing the earth, fire, and good thought are considered to be his most important creations. And as the earth is also, metaphorically, the mother of man, and the creator of Ouharmazd is figuratively his father, this unfortunate combination of anthropomorphisms has induced later superstition to take these statements literally and to quote them as a justification for marriage between father and daughter. Well, wasn't that the first historical incident of that in the Zoroastrian community? Under the which Achaemenid king? I keep forgetting. She was not deceived. This seems most probably nominative in the verbs of the sentence, but is by no means certain. In passages to be quoted hereafter, see pages 396, 401, and 416. So we're in 280 of this. Oh, okay, we're in notes here. In his selections, see Zadsparum 5:4. And we know that he was living in 881 of the Common Era. See Epistle 3, verses 2, 17, and 21. But it is probably revised for the last time as early as the reign of Khusro Noshirvan, 531 to 579 of the Common Era, when the Pahlavi Vendidad was also finally revised. See Epistle 1, chapter 4, verse 17. Was written more than 1,000 years ago. This is provided for by the long quotation from Datastani Denik 94, verse 1 to 11. And a height of about 42 English feet is 3 reeds each. See Datastani Denik 43, verse 5. And after midday, they have learned expulsion, Ra Naki, that is the capability of expelling the fiends that try to take possession of man.